This video is about when to use a two-handed backhand for beginners. Now, when I first started playing, I only used a one-handed backhand. Some of you might actually use a two-hander right now, but as I went along, I realized there's two specific scenarios where I was getting burned a lot, meaning I was getting beaten a lot, and so I needed to change from a one-hander to a two-hander so I didn't get burned as much. And those are the two scenarios that I'm gonna start you with if you're the player right now that only has a one-hander. So the first scenario is, as a right-handed player, when I'm playing the left side, oftentimes the player in front of me is gonna speed up down my line. For a long time, what I would do is I would stretch out into this position, and all I could do was get defensive and block. And if I ever got too far out of position, then what often would happen is as I got sped up on down the line, I'd pop it up and they'd put it away, right? Or I'd just get burned. So once I got beaten on that time after time after time, I realized I gotta do something different. And I also saw some pros doing this differently than I was doing it. What I saw them do is, instead of going defensive mode outstretched on a backhand, they'd actually use their left hand and they'd put their left hand on their paddle. I go one finger on top in order to give myself more stability, right? If I reach out here and I have a floppy wrist, my ability to hit some type of powerful counter is pretty much non-existent. So when I add my left hand, it adds stability to the paddle, and then it also adds the ability to swing through with more power. So those two things, stability and power. Instead of there, I can add this hand to add more stability. Now, you can still use a one-hander in this position. People do it. In my opinion, you just have to be in a better position. If I get caught way out here, it's gonna be really hard for me to be defensive, it's gonna be really hard for me to be offensive here. I could move here and get into a better position. I don't necessarily need a second hand. Quick interruption to tell you that this video is sponsored by Selkirk. From the way they run their business to the quality of their paddles, these are my favorite paddles to use. If you want to get a Selkirk paddle, go to selkirk.com or go to selkirklabs.com. Find the paddle you like, and I got you. Use my code, insert it in at checkout, and you will get a digital gift card towards a future purchase. Back to the video. Especially if you're somebody on the left who wants to take your forehand big, and then all of a sudden they speed you up, you want to be able to get that power and stability back on the paddle. Here's the second scenario. Let's say that I am, as a right-handed player, playing on the right side. One of the most common speed ups in pickleball, especially at a lower level, when a player speeds up from the right side, is they speed up across their body and they come towards my backhand. Part of the reason is, I think if they go down the line, a lot of times subconsciously they know that ball's gonna come back right to them. Go ahead, right? And then they have to deal with the wrath of the next counter. So a lot of times what they do, and I think a lot of people don't understand this consciously, but intuitively they get it. If they speed up cross, the triangle effect is in play. Very few times does a ball come from cross and I reply with cross. The natural swing path is for the ball to come cross, go back here, and me to follow through right at the guy in front of me. So if this guy's not ready, then I'm gonna crush him. Oh, knowing that, if a ball's coming cross, again, when I'm outstretched, like say I'm here and maybe I'm playing the wide dink, right? Maybe he dinked me out wide, so I'm playing the wide dink. If he then speeds up middle, if I'm not in a really strong in front of the ball position, it's gonna be hard to actually counter. Now I could slide over and hit this, but again, if you're gonna do that with a one-hander, you gotta have strong wrist, strong forearm, and depending on who you are, you can evaluate for yourself. If you don't, you're gonna wanna add a left hand for extra stability and extra control. I actually have a pretty strong forearm here, but I still like, when the ball's coming cross, I'll be sitting with my two-hander right here. So I'm actually sitting like this, understanding this is a really common pattern, getting ready to just light this guy up, okay? Yeah. Nice, right? So we can watch that replay again. I kind of watched your wrist. It's just not as stable, right? Like this muscle right here isn't gonna be able to handle as much pace. My goal here is I want to be able to not just hit it hard, I want to be able to hit it down. So ball comes here, if the ball can go down, and that's what the left hand can do, is kind of push the ball down.
That's good, yeah.
And so let's switch back for a second. If I had JT say a dead dink is one that gives him time. It usually is a little bit loftier. He can get more aggressive on it, and we're across like this. Go ahead. Okay, that's a dead dink. Pause. I'm immediately gonna wind up right. I'm gonna sit just like this. I'm not gonna take a big swing. I'm gonna keep it tight, compact, because even if he does speed up, I'm there. If he doesn't speed up, and let's show an example and then pull me out wide. So I'm prepared. If he doesn't speed up, I dink, okay, but I'm always prepared. And if he does speed up over to that side, it's way out. Yes. Nice, nice. Yeah, that was good.
That was actually good advice where you said keep it tight, because normally I would exaggerate. So I would hit that dead dink and I would open up too much, and then I'd probably swing too much and hit into the net.
Yeah.
As opposed to when I'm tight, it's just like real compact little swing that goes down.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, like, this is not necessarily gonna end the point, you know? Like, this is just gonna continue the hands battle. As you play more pickleball, these are two scenarios that I almost exclusively go to a two-handed backhand on. Now again, there's more times that I'm gonna use a two-handed backhand, you know, maybe in a hands battle, or maybe you dink with two hands. I don't do that right now. Doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just not how I play. As I'm still learning the game too, I'll share more the differences and the nuances for when to use one, when to use two. But for now, go out and try those two situations, down the line counters, cross-court counters, and see how it works for you. Let me know in the comments. Did it help? If not, it's JT's fault.